Hi everyone, welcome. I'm out here in my garden, and the system that I have in front of me today is my outdoor worm bag, and it's really two bags. It's two of these fabric grow bags nested within each other, and the whole thing is sitting within a trash pail. And even that, the whole thing is lifted up off the ground. It's resting on top of a pot. The whole idea is to try to prevent creatures from entering the system and raiding it for its inhabitants, which I've had happen before, and that's the only reason I'm taking these measures. So I've paid the price for not being prepared. So since then I haven't seen an issue. What I've got in mind for them today is it's bedding, but it's a lot of seeds. These are all the seeds off of a maple tree. And if you ever played with these when you were a kid, the heavy part wants to go down and the lighter part creates a helicopter, so they're these little spinners when you drop them. And the maples on my property, they litter my property with these things all the time, and I thought they'd be a really good worm food. So sort of food, sort of bedding I'm seeing this as. And to really make it food, what I've got here in this envelope is some worm chow. Some of my worm chow from downstairs. I even sprinkled a little bit of my crushed pulverized eggshell into this envelope so that we could use that as the bedding, feeding grit. The system is now 74 days of age, and it's had its feeding interval vary considerably. We've gone from 1 week to 2 weeks to almost 4 weeks between feedings. Last time it was fed was a week ago. And even then it had been 12 days between feedings when that got fed last time. So I went all the way up to almost 4 weeks, and now I'm down to only a 1 week interval. And I guess the main reason I wanted back in here so soon after the last feeding was because we did put an interesting food item in here, which is making me a little bit nervous, I gotta say, because it's an egg. It was a hard-boiled egg that was just left in the refrigerator way too long. And it was something that I thought might be interesting to put into the worm bin. So I took it right before putting it in there. We punched a couple holes into the shell, and I thought I had already started smelling something coming out of it, even with that tiny little bit of exposure for that brief period of time. So I don't know quite what to expect. I mean, maybe it would have stunk up a storm on the first couple days, but then maybe the worms would have done away with it within the next day or two. I really don't know what to expect, because I've never tried giving my composting worms egg. So I'm kind of trying to make my way down to where the egg is. I think it was kind of placed into the feeding last on the very tippy top of everything, which would have been right down the middle somewhere. So I'm gradually trying to peel things back until we hopefully stumble on it, and hopefully I'm not taken off guard by a nasty odor. So far I'm not sensing it, and I'm hoping that it stays that way. This is like the stem of a grape. Alright, let's see what we can make of this egg here. Ooh, it feels pretty light, and it does look like what's on the inside has been reduced, at least. I would imagine that it would have been very little bit of air or space around the insides of it, but when I peek in there, I don't know if you could see in there. I'd prefer not to break it all apart if I didn't have to. But it does seem like it's sort of fading away from the shell. I don't smell anything, which is fortunate, but I did sort of envision that maybe if the worms did like it, they'd go in there after it, but I don't see a single worm in there. Oops, I dropped a little bit of coffee grinds in there. I'm going to try to keep it clean so that when we look in there we can either see white, which would indicate we're seeing only the egg, or maybe some of the orangish yolk. But I don't want to litter it with any sort of debris, so we'll try to keep it clear of our other inspection activities here. You know, I was so caught up with checking out the egg in the video, I was trying to, let's see, remember what they got fed last time. I know that there was a bunch of stuff that probably wouldn't last too long. I mean, okay, one of the things was a banana peel, which is definitely a popular item, and they go at it as best they can, as quick and hard as they can. But it takes quite a while for them to eventually work down a banana peel. So while it's a kind of a slow food, it's one that does definitely get their attention quickly. It's just slow because it's a little bit tougher and slower for the worms to break down because of its consistency or its very fibrous nature, I think. There were other pretty fast composting foods put in here last time too, I think. And I think 2 coffees too. That's why we're seeing so much coffee down here. I think we did put in quite a bit of coffee. And somehow it seems to me, oh, that's why. I thought that these worms here were getting really excited about that coffee that I was stumbling on, but what they're really excited about is the banana peel. So what they're really on is the banana peel. I thought it was the coffee, but I should have known better. I don't know. To me, I'm just sort of suspicious that coffee isn't really something that the worms are so excited about. I mean, they'll treat it as food and help you do away with it over time, but I don't know if it's going to trigger the types of reactions where we're used to seeing on certain types of really savory foods like fruits and things like that. So here, this is just a coffee filter. Once again, I doubt that it's coffee causing these worms to mound together. It must have been just some yummy foods placed in here alongside of it. So yeah, banana peel, some other fast moving foods, which offhand I'm just not, here it is, another banana peel. That's where we're finding all the worms, is coming over for the banana peel. And whatever else it was, some other yummy food that I know is also the type that triggers a similar response in the wormies. So fun to look at them squirm. But let's carefully put this contraption back together here. I'm going to make myself a pretty good size hole here at the bottom so we can make room for all those maple seeds. And then we'll drop in worm chow, but I think I'll sprinkle the worm chow in sort of at the same time, mixing it all in between the layers of the seeds. So let's rip open this packet, envelope slash packet. Okay, and in can come a handful of seeds, a little bit of worm chow. Try to drop it in. I'm even wondering if maybe just a couple handfuls of other more damp, already partially broken in materials mixed in would make it all that more appealing for them, or maybe at least less foreign and standoffish for them. Yeah, I think we can just pour it in and just use our hands to help the stuff blend in nicely here. This stuff is all pretty dry. I mean, I picked it up off the ground and it was sitting on the ground after rain and it was a little bit damp, but certainly not as damp as this stuff that I'm pulling in from around the edges of the bin. Okay, let's make sure we return the egg back down here front and center, right in the middle of the delicious bounty of fresh bedding and fresh worm chow that we just gave them. I'm really thankful that the egg wasn't stinky. I was definitely curious to see how that thing would proceed, and you know, the egg is definitely diminishing in size. At least, you know, what I see inside. The shell is not diminishing in size. That's going to take a whole lot longer. It was more about what's on the inside. And it's kind of cool that it's protected by the shell, so that it's really just going to gradually, I guess, get worked down by whatever it is that's working it down. I don't know if it's some sort of bacteria or microbes or some sort of other small tiny creatures making their way down into that eggshell to eat the egg that we're not seeing. So whatever it is gradually working this stuff down, and I don't know, maybe by the next time we come in here it'll just be an empty shell. And I doubt that we'll smell anything at that point. Alright, well, that was just a nice little quick check-in to see how that egg was doing. Luckily no stink. Probably by the next time we come back in here it'll be gone, at least from the inside perspective. Then we can just crush up the shell and let the worms have that as grit. Although I doubt we can crush it up with our hands small enough that the worms could ever make use of it. So maybe we'll just pull it out. I don't know, we'll decide later. So that's it for our little check-in with now 74-day-old outdoor worm bin. I believe this was feeding number 6. And this was only a 1-week interval between feedings. And the stuff that they got today, I don't even know what to make of it. I think it'll be pretty popular. Maybe it's worthwhile coming back here in another week or so just to see how they like that stuff. And if they like it, we can, you know, maybe go round up a similar meal for them again soon. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, please. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to also subscribe to the channel. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.